Right, welcome to another episode of the Feedback Loop. This is just a chance to go through some of the comments on the KissFAQ message board and on YouTube for folks who've taken time out of their day to leave comments about episodes that have aired over the past week. So let's jump straight in, and going straight back in time, the first comment from the past week actually goes back to episode 488. I have no idea when we did that episode. I'm not even going to click, but Felix agrees with Mark 100% right. Paul has quoted that Bruce Fairburn was so far up Gene's ass. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go back to that episode and see what the context was for that comment. That episode was We Go Psycho. So there we go. All right, moving on into the first video of the week, really, after the last episode of Feedback Loop was the KissFAQ song of the moment, Don't Run. That was an episode that had been sitting in the can. It had been featured last year, I think, or whenever I did the members-only channel that didn't quite work out. So, as with any of the songs of the moments or demo stories, try and set them up with a little bit of context beforehand. So, thanks to everyone who checked that episode out. WBF WBL. Not going to try and get any further than that with some of these usernames. Maybe something about when two hearts collide, can't get it out of my head. I've got a real problem with those late 80s Paul demos. He was clearly shopping songwriting to, other artists. And for my taste, a lot of that stuff didn't really work, but maybe it would be a good opportunity to revisit them and see if my opinions changed on it. So thanks for that comment. Sander, thanks for you chime into quite a lot of the video threads, so thank you very much for your engagement. A nice comment on Ken's Vinyl Minutes Originals box video. Awesome box set. The gatefold Rock and Roll Over is amazing. So good positivity from the community there. Excuse me while I scratch my nose. All right, so getting into last week's KissFAQ podcast episode, we did Naked and Ranked. So it was a good opportunity just to kind of do a lighthearted episode where we dig into the Unmasked catalog and just rank those albums for overviews. Again, these are conversations in a bar. You never know what you're going to talk about or whether you've even talked about it before. So let's get started with some of these comments. Kirk Smith, sorry, not a fan after 82. Kiss is a makeup band in my eyes. Fair enough, to each their own. Again, it's two different bands in a sense. So Marcella thinks your loss, and Ken suggests listen with your ears and not your eyes. But I get the emotional connection with the original band. If you were a fan, for any part of 73 to 80, I get it. It's something special, and I'll just have to live vicariously. Marcella gave us his lineup, which was Lick It Up number 1, Asylum number 2. I like that gentleman. Powerful and attractive, as Gene would say. Let's see. Ghost Musicians Union, again on the Naked Kiss Unmasked. Lick It Up number 1, Animalize number 2. That's a little bit out of left field, so very cool. But one comment that he made was, Revenge, I can't stand it. Sorry, Lonnie. Marcelo agrees with Revenge is extremely overrated. Answer in the comments below. Do you think that Kiss's Revenge is an overrated album? Or are you going to stand firm with it's underrated or perfectly rated? Let us know in the comments. That'll be a fun one to look back on next week, perhaps. All right, Titania Bell. Lick It Up and Asylum are pretty good albums. The rest are full of fillers except for Revenge. There are some good Gene songs on that one. Crazy Nights, Hits, Animalize, Cause, Ouch. Again, Marcelo's in there with the Revenge is overrated and has lots of fillers too. So again, you bring in a group of Kiss fans, you never know what they're going to think, and they're seldom going to agree completely on matters. So there we go. All right, moving on to Strange Ways 75. Thanks for taking the time to comment on the thread. Again, Lick It Up is number 1 and Revenge is number 2. Crazy Nights in number 3. That's an interesting pick. Is there any context? No context to those. All right, Peter Balk, thanks for chiming in. You obviously often chime in on the threads as well, so thank you for your engagement. All right, so Unmasked Kiss Rule. Became a fan like most in 1979. Peter's European, by the way. And my youth was dominated by the Unmasked Kiss. It was a great time with fond memories of album releases, albums, annual conventions. Yes, here in Holland we had them since 1978. The annual Kiss Day, and meeting lifelong friends. like you, I still experience and see them as two different bands. Best albums, Peter's number one, Animalize. And again, for what it was, fine. And his choice, awesome. So number two, Lick It Up, continuation of Creatures of the Night, and number three, Crazy Nights. Bottom of the heap, Carnival of Souls. That seems to be quite a common one. It and Hot in the Shade. Kind of battling it out for that bottom ground, but there we go. I'm sure someone's got Cause as number one. I'm sure someone's got Hot in the Shade as number one. All right, so first video comment from the songs of the moment, the songs not on Alive 2. I did the episode for the members only channel for the songs not on Kiss Alive, and it was just a kind of a throwaway just to talk about some of those other songs that were performed that year. The same applies for the Alive 2 episode, but I did that freshly. That's brand new, recorded and written last week. So, Super Zapper. I would prefer 4 sides live and save studio tracks for an EP or Dynasty. Gene's backing vocals on Do You Love Me are terrible, though. Yeah, there are some pretty high vocals in the background there. But I think there's another comment on those. Bernie, do you love me? All right. Bill Phelps, 4 sides live for sure. Take Me and Hooligan are bangers. Flaming You should be there. Do You Love Me should be there too, but Gene's backup vocals are not working. Could have ended it then with the current rock and roll all night. Yeah, difficulty speaking this morning. So, yeah, I think that would have been fair. It had become the anthem by then. So, I don't see any problem with including that one in the mix as well, so that's a good idea. Wichita Richard, I can't say that. If you were in Japan at the time, Lick It Up doesn't count as a non-makeup album. Well, technically, just because it had an overlay hiding the album cover, we could go around in circles on that all day long. Same with the first single released from the album. So the album cover itself wasn't printed with that overlay. The album cover is the same as everywhere else. And I don't know if that Obi was a permanent. Elaine, calling Elaine, need an answer. I'll need him to hopefully chime in if he ever sees this. All right, moving on. That was a comment for the Naked Kiss rankings, by the way. All right, back to the songs of the moment, the songs not on Alive 2, Rome Loves Dan. Love 'Em and Leave 'Em, Flaming Youth, Hooligan, Take Me, Do You Love Me, Got Love for Sale. I want a deluxe Alive 2 with rehearsals, multiple shows, etc. Hopefully there's an Almost Human and Sweet Pain that is sonically salvageable. We need them all. I agree. We need everything. All together, all at once, now. Hoorah! All right, Speed Racer agrees. Peter M. Fitzpatrick. Hooligan Live is sheer perfection. Yeah, I enjoy putting that one together. It's, again, Peter's stuff is different than your kind of standard Gene and Paul compositions, which is what makes Kiss fantastic to me. All 4 of their styles and voices coming together, and when they get to express themselves, coming more from their unique positions, I think it added to the whole. All right, Coldacre. I will never understand to this day why they never played Love 'Em and Leave 'Em live. Peter could have sung along in the chorus, doing his thing. The possibilities, I hear it in my head. Absolutely. There's a lot of would've, could've, should've's, and there's an overabundance of things that they did do, so there's a lot of things that fell by the wayside. Great comment, by the way. So that one got a lot of thumbs up. About the funk. Hooligan needed to be on there. I like that. Daniel Erickson, a good analysis. All of these are good references to Kiss's fantastic repertoire, and a few more could certainly have fit on Alive too. Again, it's all about Kiss, but thanks for your nice comments about the video. Christopher B. Take Me and Do You Love Me live versions sound really good in my opinion. A nice change to hear those songs. Too bad they weren't included. Yeah, they do bring a fresh energy in a sense, and if you don't hear them regularly, they may be even fresher. All right, keeping going. Cup of tea. All right, keeping going. Daniel Bowden. I wish there was a good version of Hard Luck Woman live out there. I agree with Hooligan. I wish that was included. Yeah, I have the master tape to Memphis 76, and there's only so much that you can do to even try and salvage that one, so I didn't bother. Same with the rehearsal take from, what was that, Reading. it just does not sound that great, and we don't get to hear what actually was, properly live in concert. So, agree, but I'm glad that we can even hear any of it on. I think it's only Memphis and New Orleans that have the recording. Joseph Kiss Sr. I really like JG's thought. I like you already. I'm thumbs upping your comment right now on how to fill up the fourth side. All good ideas. This was a great episode. Well, thank you very much for watching it. Number one. Metallian, 4 sides live gets my vote, including the 3 songs, maybe an extend Ace and Peter solos. I didn't think about Ace and Peter solos as such, but we did get on to talking a bit more. What were we talking about? We were talking about... Oh, I don't remember. So, there we go. All right, music. Anyone having problems logging on to the KissFAQ? Off topic, gentlemen. But yeah, there's been some further changes made to the board in order to continue to fighting the AI bots. Bots and all sorts of swarms, nefarious and otherwise, are scraping the site to death. What happens is thousands of connections hit the site continuously, knocking everyone else off from being able to use it while they rape all the information out of the board, the site. That's how AI make their libraries and their language models, by stealing data from the internet and then selling it. So I do everything I can to keep the site usable. I'm not against sharing the information, but there we go. All right, so Jonathan Anderson... Tomorrow and Tonight seems to exist because they wanted 5 songs each from Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, and Love Gun. Obviously, Hooligan would have been the most realistic choice as they'd been playing it live. But maybe Paul wanted his song on a live too, and Peter getting 3 songs to sing was just too credit for some. Personally, I think live versions of Take Me and Do You Love Me should have been used, and I'd have replaced King of the Nighttime World and Tomorrow and Tonight with them. Just my opinion, of course. All your opinions absolutely welcome, so thanks for chiming in with that very long comment. Bernie. Fantastic episode, Julian. I'm surprised by how excellent Hooligan comes across live. Just listens to Peter's rock-steady bass drum. Love it. User XF9W, I'm stopping there. They also did Flaming Youth in early 77. That should have been included also. Those 4 songs and the full drum solo would have been enough. Great episode, and yes, I wish the album was all live. All right, so Flaming Youth. That had been performed through... middle of July 76 and then was dropped. So I didn't include that because it was dropped so early and it really wasn't, part of my consideration for this. But you want it, you got it. Here's Flaming Youth live, 76.
Set the world on fire.
All right, thanks for that reminder about that song. I'm sure some would include that in that list. Marcus Almighty always says very nice things about my episodes. You can read his comment for yourself. So, last two, who was doing the high-pitched backing vocals on Take Me? And I don't know if I thought it was Gene, but apparently Jonathan Anderson thinks it's Peter. So, and just to finish Jonathan's comments, love that 70s live version though, and at least I'm glad it exists on the Lost Alive 2 bootleg. So there we go. That is the feedback loop for this week. Thank you as always for taking the time to comment and enjoy that recording of Flaming Youth live, and stay for the end of it.
Oh hey, you're still here, watching or listening. Why don't you hit that subscribe button or click the like one?